Hey, welcome to Maximum Bat Speed. I want to share a lesson that I did with this student the other day, and they came in from out of town. And this young lady here did just a very good job of receiving the information. And the things I wanted to work with her on, I want to share with you because a lot of players that I work with, either in person or online video analysis, they tend to have these kind of tendencies. And I want to show you what I did, and hopefully this analysis, if you are experiencing some of the similar kind of swing flaws, that this video analysis, this video here will help you to kind of work on things on your own. Now, one of the first things that I did was I told her that all these things that we were implementing, I wanted for she to be able to do this in front of a mirror, okay? So basically what I did, of course, you can't see this in the camera in front of her. I had this big mirror like this in front of her, probably 8-10 feet in front of her. So she was constantly referencing back to the mirror, making sure everything we were talking about, all the angles that I'm going to share with you were correct. Okay. Because like I told her, what you think you're doing and what your mind is telling you you're doing and what I'm asking you to do, many times they don't coincide. So having a mirror in front of you, the mirror will reinforce a lot of the things that you're working on in order for you to be able to see that your body is in the correct positions for you to execute the mechanics correctly. Okay, so that's really important. Now, I drew some lines here, and you can see here, there's some little red lines here between her neck and her deltoid, and I did it on the before and after. This is the before on the left and after on the right, okay? So the hands, I told her that they were a little bit too far back, and I told her the reason why you wanted to be very relaxed. And the more you get your hands between the neck and the deltoid, it's going to give you more flexion in your arms. It's going to allow your arms to be more relaxed at setup, okay? At the setup, you just want to be very relaxed, okay? If anything, the only place you really want to feel any tension is pretty much in your legs, okay? Now, another thing that I told her was that her back leg was too vertical, okay? There was just this angle right here was the thigh was almost 90 degrees, and you can see here, same with the ankle. And when you go down from the knee down to the ankle, you can see here that there's hardly any gap between the knee and the ankle going down. So what I asked her to do, I said, I want you to put all your weight inside the inner thigh, inner ankle, the instep of your back foot. I almost want you to feel as though your knee is kind of pointing in the direction, like almost at an angle like this, okay? Instead of straight ahead, I said, just kind of pinch that knee in a little bit. Feel a lot of pressure inside of here. I said, let's get the angles in your leg where you have a little bit more slant on them. You can see the difference between the before and after and the angles of the thigh and the ankle. There's definitely more of a slant here, okay? And that's what I told her to do. So we worked on that for a little bit, making sure that was set up correctly. And I told her, let's get the hands over. So she kept looking in the mirror, making sure everything was correct from there, okay? Now, from there, what I said as we moved on, I said, okay, now let's move on to the gather. And we talked about what I wanted her to do there. And what I wanted her to do there at this stage is when she lifted her back leg, I said, I want you to feel more like your tailbone immediately is kind of rotating and working towards the pitcher. In this right here, you'll see on the left, she tends to have her tailbone working towards like if there was a catcher behind her, working towards the catcher, okay? And I said, when you do not apply the technique correctly, your body's going to naturally want to sway more to the left, okay? So what I'll do here is I'll just kind of draw a little red line here by her hip right here, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about right there. And I'll just go ahead and do the same thing over here on the right, okay? So as we get into the gather, you're going to see here that as she starts to lift her front leg, she's starting to move back, and you can see already that on the before, when she got here, she was already moving back quite a bit, okay? So on the right, she's already applying that tailbone rotation, and she's applying that instep pressure in the inner thigh, inner ankle, and this is helping her and keeping her from adding extra frames going back into her swing, okay? So as she starts to reach the apex of the gather about right here, now you can see there's a couple things that are going on. Now on the left, on the before, you can see here that it's very obvious that her leg went quite a bit more towards the catcher, and you can see the gap here as far as the actual torso, that her body moved over all the way over here, okay? Now over here, you can see at this stage of the swing, because her tailbone was working more towards the pitcher, as she started getting in the gather, her torso actually went the other way towards the pitcher, okay? And this is what I wanted her to do, because what I explained to her was, as you start getting older, you're going to start experiencing more and more higher elite competition, okay? And if your body is working back, just say 5 extra frames, you're going to have to go forward 5 extra frames. So therefore, you're going to be rushing your swing. It's going to become more of an arm swing, and it's just going to create all kinds of timing issues, okay? So she did a beautiful job on the right, okay, on the after, just really doing a good job again of transferring her weight in the correct manner, like what you see in the most elite players. On the before, when she first got here, this is when she got here, I said, let's check out what's going on in your swing, okay? So what happened here on the right, on the left, you can see that her hands are way over her back foot. And I told her, I said, you know, this right here is you're right now, you have too much weight on your backside. This is going to hurt you with your weight transfer. It's going to hurt you with your timing. And over here, as she got into her gather, and you can see here that her right now at this stage of the swing, that her hands, and if you ever watch my videos, I always talk about at the gather, your hands should be perfectly right in front of your back foot. And you can see that's exactly what she did, okay? And another thing that she was doing, and I told her, is that you don't want to start your pullback until you get into the gather. Now, one thing she does very beautifully here, she maintains the pullback right here very well. And I told her, because you maintain it so well, you can kind of get away with it. But most players, what you want to do when you get to the apex of the gather, you still want to have very relaxed arms. You want to have a vertical bat. And every player is going to be kind of unique, and I don't make cookie cutter swings for everyone. If you're doing certain things very well in your swing, and she did hit the ball actually pretty well when she got here, but I told her, I said, let's work on getting your swing to be more elite, okay? And that's always my goal for my students, is let's keep working and building your swing. And again, this lesson, we did it for like an hour, and in 1 hour you're going to see, you know, the transformation in her swing and what was going on. So again, as she was going back on the before, she was going back too much, and I had her stop at the apex of the gather right here, and her angles were a lot better. She was starting to move, going towards the pitcher. I said, feel like you're kind of working downhill as you lift your front leg, get your tailbone working kind of towards the pitcher, okay? So at this stage of the swing right here, what I told her to do next, okay, we had her pause at the apex of the gather. So I told her, I said, okay, let's pause at the apex of the gather. And what I told her to do next, I said, once you start going forward, as you start striding forward, what I want you to do with your top hand, okay, if you're a right-hander, it'll be your top hand would be your right hand, okay? So what I told her, what I wanted her to do, I said, I want you to feel with your right hand as you're moving forward. I want you to feel like you're spilling the cup, or I want you to have like a palm down feeling, okay? And you can see right here, as she gets into her toe touch right here, look what's going on right here. You can see here that she did a really good job of her palm facing down right here, okay? I told her, you know, let's work on this as you're striding this. I just want you to focus on your top hand. I want your top hand to be pulling back, okay? I don't want you to do anything with your arms. I just want you to just get your top hand, feel like you're spilling a cup, and I want you to feel like your palm is down. Now, on this one right here, she didn't do too bad, but you can see here, there's a difference on what's going on with when she got here and when she actually, as we started working on towards the end of the lesson. Now, on the right was towards the end of the lesson. So she did a really good job of executing that, okay? And because she transferred her weight correctly, you can see here, as far as where her arms were when she first got here, at this stage of the swings, the hand should be directly over the shoelace. Now, as you get into your toe touching, you can see how far back her hands were, okay? Now, over here, you can see at this stage of the swing, her hands were beautifully right over her shoelaces. Just everything she was doing, she was just executing it beautifully, okay? And also, too, you can see here, And this is one thing I'm always checking for. You want to be balanced at toe touch so you're able to hit pretty much any pitch that comes your way, in the sense of if you got an inside, outside, low, high, and if your body's too far back, you're going to struggle being able to execute your swing correctly. So if we go here from her neck down, okay, if we go from her neck down, you can see here that her weight is pretty far back. Now in this swing, if we go from her neck down, you can see here that she is much better balanced with her swing, okay? And this is what we were working on, getting her body to be balanced at toe touch, just to be more athletic, and again, get that palm to be working down as she was getting into her toe touch. So she did that beautifully right there. Now, as we started to get into her heel plant, what I told her to do was, I want you to keep your hands back, and immediately I want you to do a palm up, okay? So she went from palm down to palm up. And you can see, it's very obvious in this right here that she did a beautiful job of keeping her hands back. Top hand, her palm is pointing up, where right here, her top hand was pointing over here, straight towards kind of like the pitcher, and it was causing her hands to drop. Now, if you look at the angles on the left, on the right, okay, and I told her that this is going to create a perfect plane between her arms and her actual shoulders, okay, and that's what you want. In other words, what I want is, if you were looking from a pitcher straight from the pitcher's view to the batter, and this is the shoulder plane, you want the arm plane to be in the same plane, and that's what she's doing there. Now on the left, what her plane was, her shoulders are here, but her arm, one arm was down here and underarms here, therefore her hands were way down here, okay? But on this swing, because she has a perfect plane, everything's working just beautifully on a perfect rotation, and her hands are right around the corner of the deltoid, which is going to give a player an opportunity to have much better hand path, much better bat speed. It's just going to just create a lot of very, very positive things in your swing, okay? Now, those of you out there that are familiar with hitting mechanics, and if you watch a lot of TV with the most elite softball players, elite baseball players, you're going to see here what's going on with her swing. It's very obvious that her hand path on the left, I'm sorry, on the right, is much better. Now you can see here, this swing is completely already completely synced up from the time they started, okay? They're very synchronized, okay? You can see everything from the time they start, everything is synchronized. But because she was able to move her body more correctly, and her hand path was so much better, and everything that we worked on with, again, palm down immediately with the top hand pulling back as she's going into her stride, and I said immediately get the palm to come up, and you can see again how quickly the bat is moving behind her, very quickly behind her, and creating this beautiful path behind her immediately. We're here, you can see she's much later coming down into the swing, okay? And I told her, by fixing this hand path, by fixing everything we worked on with the palm down, palm up, that kind of spill the cup and immediately get the palm up with the pullback, is going to allow you to have a much better hand path, okay? That, along with the correct weight transfer, moving towards the pitcher, landing more balance, is going to allow a player to be able to execute a swing at a very high level. And again, this lesson was only for just probably an hour and 15 minutes. And we just, again, did a lot of mirror work. We talked about the weight transfer. We talked again, as you transfer your weight, you want to see that palm down. Immediately as you get into the heel plant, you want to have the palm up. And then from there, I said, let's keep the barrel below the hands. And you can see right here, as she starts to get into the swing, how beautifully she has those angles. If you watch my videos, immediately her lead elbow worked up to the height of the mouth, and you can see, and I said, let's get that barrel below the hands and work on having 90-degree angles right here. And now if you are a player and now of course, and this ball right here, she happened to foul off. But and this was like, I wasn't even going to pitch to her today, because I normally don't get to that point, but because she was executing everything so well, from hitting off my pad, then from there hitting off the tee. And then I said, you know what, you're doing such a great job. Let me pitch some balls to you. And I was really surprised with how nice her mechanics looked on video immediately, okay? But the point is, that I told her, I said, getting the mechanics correctly, and the more you do it, it's going to take, I told her, I said, it's going to probably take about 21 days of really hard work and working the mechanics of everything we worked on in order for everything to become more natural, where you can execute it under pressure. But again, by the time she left, like pretty much all her swings looked like the ones on the right. Okay. And again, everything she was doing, and the main thing we were working on was just getting a beautiful hand path right there. And every video that we took of her when she got here, I think I had about 8 swings that we did, that I just wanted to kind of see her tendencies. Every single one of them, she did exactly what she was doing on the left. Okay, she was just getting into too much what I call overload with her swing going back on the left, and then as she was swinging, immediately she would drop her hands on every single swing. It didn't matter if the pitch was high or low, her hands would drop down like this, where her palms were facing in this direction at that time. And again, as you can see right here, what we worked on with palm going up, you can see that she did a beautiful job of executing what I asked her to do, therefore producing great weight transfer, great bad path right there. And again, she fell this one off, but you can see here, just beautiful angles right here. And again, we were working, when we were working off the tee, she was just doing a beautiful job of elbow working up to the height of the mouth, both arms fully extended with barrel below the hands. And she just did a beautiful job. And again, if you look at this right here, what's going on pretty much every swing she did when she got here, she had kind of this going on with her swing, which I call this like kind of a jackknife swing, where if you go from the logo to the belt buckle to the shoelace, it kind of has this kind of a look like this, where towards the end of the lesson, if you go from the logo to the belt buckle to the shoelaces, she's producing a single axis, therefore allowing the body to have the freedom to rotate through the ball with tremendous speed. And again, just to reiterate, and again, I hope this video helps you, and please give me a like if you are enjoying what I'm mentioning to you. I do online video analysis, and I'm here to help you, just like I helped this young lady. And just want to let you know that I'm passionate about helping players. I really am. I see a lot of coaching out there that doesn't produce any kind of good results. And this young lady, or her dad actually told me that I was the first coach. She's been playing since she was about, I think her father said 6, and she's 16, I believe. And her father mentioned to me that I'm the first coach that had ever mentioned a lot of the things that I was mentioning to her, about the mechanics and how they work and where the body should be and the angles and all that she had never received information like that before. Which I told her, I said, I really don't, I told him, I'm sorry, that I don't really know how a lot of coaches teach out there, but the way that I've been coaching and teaching for many years has produced a lot of results that are very positive for players. And by the time the player left, she was very pleased with how she was hitting the ball, and they actually want to keep coming back. And they drove for over an hour and a half, I believe, to get to my home. And they said that it was just a good experience, and I was really happy to hear that. So again, to reiterate for all of you out there, just put the weight inside the instep of the back foot, inner thigh, inner ankle, to prevent you from moving back. As soon as you lift your leg, get your tailbone and start working towards the pitcher. And once you get to the apex of the gather, you want to make sure your hands stop right in front of your back foot. You don't want to keep going beyond that. And again, as you start moving forward, I want you to get your right palm, if you're a right-hander, feel like you're spilling a cup, or as you're doing a palm down, it's going to give you kind of an angle like you see right here with how she looked on the after, just pointing down. And as you start to rotate your hips, you're still pulling back with your top hand, you're still spilling the cup or palm down. You're trying to keep that as long as you can. And then once you start getting into your hip rotation and you start getting into your heel plant, you want to keep the hands back and immediately let that palm go up like this. and it's going to have you beautifully connected where your hands are going right around the corner of the deltoid right here, where everything's going to be in a perfect plane, allowing you to be hitting off a single axis like she's doing right here. Just like I mentioned, her body's just going to rotate beautifully off of a single axis right there. So if I go one more frame here, look how she stays on the axis right there. See that? That just gives you a beautiful job of being able to hit off the axis. And right here, you can see, just like I mentioned, there's her belt buckle right there. There's her swing here. So if we look at her swing right there, look what's going on with her swing right there. You can see right there, she's not really swinging, wasn't swinging on a single axis going down. Okay. So anyway, I hope this video has been helpful. Again, please give me a like, subscribe to my channel. And again, this young lady did a beautiful job, and I always appreciate your likes and your viewing my channel and my videos. Everyone, have a blessed day out there. All right. Thank you so much.